We have the Premier, Roger Cook, in the studio with us right now. Hey, mate, can you give us a little bit of a insight into what it's like in your life at this time of year? Because it's obviously going to be crazy, but is your whole day, you getting up at 5 just doing election things?
Yeah, essentially my day is programmed, from go to woe, and it's 7 days a week. So I often do lose track of the days because there's no rhythm to your week. You're just going through each day, and I still try to train. I still try to keep fit. So I get up early in the morning, try to do some running, some weights. If I've got a little bit of time, I'll get on my bike. But otherwise, then my meetings start around about 6:45, and we go from there. After this, I'll go out and I'll do a bit of media as well, so we press conference every day. I think I've done about 50 press conferences in consecutive days so far. And then, and then you get down to the local shopping centre and you meet and greet and you meet as many people as you can, which is one of the great things of this job, right? You meet so many people from different walks of life with different opinions. It's really exciting and it's a really rewarding part of the job.
I remember when I first actually met you, it was in Exmouth for the eclipse.
The total solar eclipse.
And at the time you were a tourism minister.
Major highlight of my political career.
It was very, very cool. And anyone that was there knows what a once-in-a-lifetime experience that was. And then not too soon after, your whole life changed when Mark McGowan stepped back.
Yeah.
So you've had an interesting entry into your role as Premier. Not normally a linear one, and now we're coming up to the election. So I can imagine there's that extra layer of nerves not being voted in by people.
Yeah, this is a test. Every election is a test, and it doesn't matter, whether you think the election's going to be close or it's going to be a walkover. There's all kinds of commentary around that, but it's always a test, and that is the conversation you're having with the people of Western Australia. So we're putting our plan to have how we take this state forward. And people have to judge that. So we go around and we say, we want more cost of living relief. We want more houses, faster and more affordable. We want a major expansion of our health system. And we want to continue to diversify our economy by making stuff in WA, bring manufacturing back into the Western Australian economy. And you go around and you have that conversation again and again and again. And, you mould your ideas based on the conversations literally that you have at the local shopping centre.
It's interesting around manufacturing and bringing it back to WA. Is there any particular industries that you think could be growing here?
Yeah, look, the key opportunity for us is renewable energy, right?
Yeah.
We will be a renewable energy powerhouse for the globe. We've got solar assets, we've got wind assets. If we can really grasp this economic opportunity, what you'll see is a whole bunch of businesses coming here for reliable, affordable, clean energy. And that means we'll be making things like green iron. It means we'll be making things like ammonia, which will be used in power stations across the world. So there's a huge opportunity for us here. And we can do it, right? I mean, people often sell Western Australians short, but we make our bridges, we make our trains, we're making batteries for homes. We can do this stuff, and we need to bring manufacturing back to WA, which is the reason why we've launched our Made in WA plan, how we're going to continue to bring manufacturing back to the Western Australian economy. Great jobs, great skills, and, if you look just yesterday, we talked about the defence industries. Tens of thousands of jobs are going to come from building defence ships here in Western Australia. It's actually the biggest defence project in the nation's history, and it's happening here in Western Australia. It's really exciting.
Now, quite often in the lead up to an election, we hear things spoken about in broad terms, like the cost of living crisis. If you were to speak to a single mum raising 2 kids in Kalgoorlie, how is your government going to make her life easier?
Well, what we'd first of all say is that we've already done $1 billion worth of cost of living measures, the length and breadth of this state. But we understand that even though the economy is going well, we know that there are people who are doing it tough. And we know that we have an obligation to give them a hand, and that's what Labor governments do. So what we'd say to that mum is that we're about to do another round of WA student assistance payment. In addition to that, if they've got a kid at school, we've got an $8 million program to help those kids participate in Country Week, which is an important part of your life when you're a country kid, growing up in Western Australia. We're going to expand free kindy. So that means that people who've got a 4-year-old, going to kindy, it's now going to be full time so that you won't have to do part of your week in kindy, part of your week in childcare. We're going to continue to make sure that we bring new opportunities such as the biggest expansion of PATS, the Patients Assistant Transport Scheme. We've not for this young mum, but we've just increased the regional pensioner travel card by another $100.
Robbie?
So that pensioners can.
Hey,
That's fighting with.
but fair, I'm happy with that. Thanks, Roger.
We're also slashed stamp duty for young people who are buying a home in regional WA. So we know that we have to have measures which make sense to all Western Australians.
Yes.
But we know in regional WA, we really need to grow these great urban centres that are emerging around Western Australia, because a lot of this manufacturing that we're talking about is going to happen in Port Hedland, in Karratha, in Kalgoorlie, in Geraldton, and in Albany, and in Bunbury. So we know that we need to really make sure that growing and living in regional WA is more affordable and that people have the services they need so they don't have to leave town in order to get healthcare, education and things of that nature.
Housing is a massive one as well, which you sort of touched on there.
Yeah.
I think the stat is that we're building 23,000 new homes a year at the moment. We need about 30 year on year. So obviously that starts to stack up.
Yeah, about 25, yeah.
Yeah. So how on earth do we make more land available and get that building going? Because it's obviously a lot that we need to sort of hit.
Yeah, look, we're really leaning in hard on the whole housing issue. And as I said, 23,000 are being built at the moment. We need to get around about the 25,000 mark. But we don't want them just to be in Perth. So we want to be able to release land and make sure that there's housing going on in regional WA as well. So recently, we just released another 100 blocks in Karratha alone. We've got a new infrastructure funding fund, which means that we will assist property developers in regional WA to bring more home property developments, housing subdivisions on stream. We're also going to double the number of grow houses. That's the government regional accommodation scheme, so that we have less government workers taking up leases and buying homes in regional towns, so locals can actually have a better chance of getting into the homes in their community.
Now, this is something that is absolutely not on your agenda.
Excellent. Here we go.
If you are to kind of, be successful in this election, this is something that I just noticed recently that was a real issue for a lot of communities in regional WA. So recently we dealt with the anxiety around Cyclone Zelia, and thank goodness we didn't feel the full impact like we thought we might. But there was a lot of distress around evacuation centres and people being unable to have proper pet plans.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I did notice online a lot of people, and, I'd probably be one of them, very anxious to leave their pets. And I know this is not something you've floated, but this is something that we're seeing a lot of distress around in communities in these times that are already high stress times. Is this something that could be put on the agenda, maybe looking forward to other places that have been able to implement, pet-friendly evacuation centres or a pet plan that people can actually follow in evacuation orders?
Yeah, certainly our emergency response teams are conscious of the fact when people come to evacuation centres, they'll often take dogs or other pets, and we can accommodate them in the evacuation centre for a very short period of time, because they basically have a separate area. They go in cages. I don't like to use the word cages, but they go into carriers so that they can be kept safe and they don't represent a disruption to the people in the evacuation centre. But you're right, it's an ongoing problem, because increasingly people want to be able to look after their pets at a time during a disaster.
Yeah, definitely.
So we can do it in the short term, but you might be right, there might need to be a longer term response for that. So if it's a flood situation, for instance, it's going to hang around for a week or so, you need to be able to look after those pets in an appropriate way. So evacuation centres do have pet accommodation, but it's just for a short period of time.
Okay. I didn't know that, because a lot of people were being told that if they showed up with their animals, they would not be able to accommodate them. So it's good to know that but they can, even if it is for a short time, because I can imagine there'd be a lot of anxiety leaving your animal behind.
Yeah, and it's not great for the animal either, is it? Sitting in a carrier outside an evacuation centre, but it's the best we can do under the circumstances.
Yeah. Well, that's good to hear.
Anything else you want to grill the Premier on?
Look, we could be here for days, and obviously you covered off a lot on the debate with Libby, which congratulations, the results were in, and they did say that you did win the debate. So, and now you've got, I guess, the election ahead of you. So, are you feeling confident going in?
Well, look, we're not taking anything for granted. We are making sure that we're making every post a winner, going to talk to every person in the community. And my teams have literally door knocked almost 200,000 homes during this campaign, right across the state, particularly in our big regional seats. One of the things, if I may, they have talked about is their concerns around hospitals.
Yes.
I'm really proud of the fact that we're rebuilding Tom Price Hospital, $188 million rebuild of Geraldton Hospital, $450 million rebuild of Bunbury Hospital, and we're doubling the number of beds at Albany Hospital. So we are continuing to make sure that we really put those policies in place which make a difference to people's lives living in regional WA. But in this election, like every election, you don't take anything for granted. You treat the electorate with respect. You put your promises out there. You get the costings done. I think the Liberals should do that as well. And then you make sure that you provide a plan for the people of Western Australia about how you're going to take this state forward. And we'll continue having that conversation right up to Election Day. But don't forget, voting has already started. You can go down to your pre-poll booth, go to wavotes.com.au, and it will tell you where your local pre-poll booth is. So everyone can get down there now, get their voting done, and they can stop listening to me banging on all day.
No, Premier, thank you very much for coming in. And I must say as well, we entrapped him a bit because we have a jar of salty plums.
Yes.
Chris brought in for us. He tried one, and he's going another one.
Well, look, I'll just demonstrate that I'm up for this.
He's a man of the people.
And so these are called, it's Taiwan... what is it? Taiwan red salty plum.
Yes.
And I don't know where they came from.
People in Broome probably know what's going on.
Oh, yeah. And these are a pretty hardcore version.
An acquired taste.
It is deeply unpleasant. No. Go straight to the back of your mouth.
That's the grilling we needed. Oh, Roger Cook, thank you very much for coming on
Thanks for
today.
your time, guys.
We'll chat to you and good luck in the election.